Good evening, everyone. Hey, how you doing? I am Denise, the Diva D, or Miss D from Miss D Reads, or just whatever, okay? And April is not here with me this evening, but I want to say welcome to everyone. This is Diversity and Equity in Education, and we are sponsored by the fabulous and fantastic Bianca Goolsby of Teaching for the Culture. And this evening, I know we haven't been on for a while because of various events and things like that, but if I were to title this particular uh, evening or this particular episode, I would call it "Wait a Vam Minute." Really? So we're just going to focus specifically on one thing this evening, and this deals with the VAM scores or the release of the state's VAM assessment of teachers. And so basically, what I want to talk about is first of all, what is the VAM? Okay, the VAM is a measurement tool. So it's called value added measure. And it basically says to us as educators that, hey, this is what your value is in terms of what you bring to the educational experience for the child. Now, one thing let's start off talking about what it is and what we've seen in the past year, and then we're going to move into how this is such a, in my opinion, a skewed measurement of what a teacher's actual value is. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is the VAM scores for the district themselves. So looking at the district, just looking at last year, which was the 2020. Let's go back to 2020 and 2021 school year. So with these numbers that I've pulled straight from DOE, you can look at, we had in Hillsborough County, we had 11,244 highly effective teachers. That's 83% of the teaching population that was considered highly effective according to the district numbers, right? Then you're looking at 2,070, which is 15.4% of teachers considered effective. Okay, then we look at the other numbers of teachers who are under 3 years. Then you also have the ones that are considered needs improvement, and then of course unsatisfactory. Now here's what I'm going to talk about first. In every situation, doesn't matter what type of job you have, or you could be a post office worker, you could be a trash collector, you're always going to have a top and a bottom quartile. That's just what it is. But to say, or to specifically look at teachers specifically, I'm going to go break down to which teachers they're specifically focusing on, but to look at teachers and say, this is the best that you can offer, and this is the best that you can provide to the educational experience without even looking at all the outside factors. So let's start off with who this affects the most, right? Because right now, recently, the state VAM scores are out. And let's look at actually what has happened over the past couple of years. We've not only had COVID, we just recently, and I know after that we had monkeypox, and then we've recently had a major hurricane within the state. Okay, all these things are factors that are happening within our state right now. But even going back a couple of years, we're looking at the fact that you've got kids in situations who are already grade levels behind. So then we're going to change the curriculum itself. So now we went from having a set of standards, there was one set of standards, now we have the best standards, which by the way, the 2022 and 2023, this school year right here, they will not use VAM scores because they're changing the entire curriculum again, or changing a new set of standards, right? But looking at all the factors, this is what I have to say. We don't have, especially as a teacher myself, who's coming out of, who rather, let me say this, has never taught in an A school. I've always taught at schools that where you have a high number of kids who are receive free and reduced lunch, right? You're looking at that and you're saying, well, you know what? You have no value. But then you're looking at my population. My population is coming to me year after year after year after year. And I'm not just talking about my school, I'm talking about many, many schools within the district. The population that's coming in is also a population that's continuing to come in already at a disadvantage. Okay. So which teachers does this mostly affect? Well, it's interesting that VAM scores only affect math and English language arts. So they're not taking into account any of the electives. You're not taking into account any other areas. Where's your science? Where's your social studies? None of that is coming into place, right? But here's what the VAM scores are actually comprised of, and we're going to put a link in a minute in the chat just to break down and tell you exactly what it's all about, or where you can find this information, right? So the VAM score itself is comprised of three particular things. One is comprised of the performance of the students, all right? And remember, one big giant test to look at student performance over an entire year. Second, it measures instructional practice. So how is the teacher teaching the particular student? How are they informing the student? What are they getting from the teacher? And then there's a part called other indicators, which could be a collaboration of all kinds of stuff, things from the principal, things like that, right? Um, so that's something that we need to look at in terms of what is it that makes up the VAM. But keep in mind, are we looking at how the test is set up and who the test actually affects? So let me give you a little bit of information, because here for me, and if Bianca wants to throw the actual link on there, that'd be great to show us that what the actual where you can go and get this information. And here it is again, like what we're talking about. What is the combined evaluation rating of this? So again, we're talking about the student performance. That's 1/3 of your VAM score. Instructional practice, 1/3 of your VAM score, and then the other indicators. Okay, this is how the district evaluates. But now let's talk about people who, like myself, again, we've always taught at primarily schools that had primarily free and reduced lunch. Okay, so what you're saying, here's the flaw in the system that's offered. Here's the flaw itself. We notice it. One, you're looking at a single teacher being responsible for all of that learning. So you're not taking into account, okay, well, who else comes into contact with that student? Who else affects that student's learning? You might have librarians, you have the elective teachers. You're looking at the paraprofessionals. All right. You're looking at the specialists. What about all these other people? So here on the screen, Bianca has put up here for us, we're seeing how the district evaluates, and there's a link that we're definitely gonna put that link up there for you. We're looking at the evaluation ratings and then the models, what they're basing it upon. Okay. Now, right here where it says, so Florida's value added model requires that school districts implement personnel evaluations that are based on several criteria, one of which is the performance of each educator's students. Now, here's the thing, going back to it, it says each educator's students, but it's only specifically focusing on reading and math. And so what about everyone else? So we're saying that these are the teachers who get penalized the most because of one particular test for the kids. So this bothers me. And then here's the other things that we're not taking into consideration. One, what about students with disabilities? Other thing we're not taking into consideration, your ELL students, your English language learning students, who have to take the same test as everyone else. We're also not taking into consideration the ESC students. So you're saying if you've packed in a class of ESC students, ELL students, and maybe many students that have disabilities, which is pretty much, if you look at my general classroom, I have a combination of that every single period. So if you're looking at the district saying that we have this many effective and highly effective teachers, but then the state turns around and tells you, nah, you haven't been effective at all. Where is what's the word we're looking for? Where's the collaboration? Where is the oh, I just lost the word. It was just in my head. How do you correlate? How does all that correlate together? So is the teacher, so the question out there right now is the teacher effective or are they not? That's the real question. Because based on your district and your principal and your school, you bring the most to your school. But according to the state, you have zero value. I mean, this is what we wanted to bring to you. They're just something for you to ponder. Right. Just put the owl out there. Just put him out there. Because that's what we want to do. We want to let people know that teaching is not just, okay, sit down in the class and learn everything you need to learn. You are developing a human being. You are giving that person social skills. You're giving them skills that they need to as Hillsborough County says, skills, developing students and preparing students for life. So where is the morale point at this point for teachers? Because a lot of teachers, I knew people call me, did you see this? The morale is incredibly low. And this is not something, a tool that you want to have out there and use in a situation that we're in right now where people are fleeing from the teaching profession. You can't even get people to come in to get in these classes. You walking into schools right now. Every day they're missing teachers. I'm fortunate to say that we are blessed enough that in the eighth grade we actually have a teacher for every subject area, and that's rare because we don't see that. So what when you think about it overall and you think about how this affects a teacher going into the classroom tomorrow on Monday, which by the way, they've snatched back all of our early release days. So we going in for full days on Mondays coming up. Just want to let you know, parents, that's happening because we lost that week for the hurricane, right? So think about all of those factors. And then think about the fact that when you go into the classroom, they talk about value added and all these things like that. But anybody thinking about how this affects the teacher's own morale, and how then they're going to continue on throughout the school year, knowing that someone out there in the great top of the state is saying, even though they have put in 15, 20, 30 years of teaching, they're saying now that you have no value. It boggles the mind as to how heartbreaking this whole situation is, how heartbreaking is it that in terms of education. So just understand something. One, that I'm here looking at my notes because I want to be very sure and be very specific about it. So I'm going to repeat this one more time. There will always be a bottom quartile, no matter what type of profession you're in. But the fact that it's not correlated correctly or evenly, where are they getting these stats from to show that on one end you're doing extremely well and the other end you're doing a horrific job? Help me understand that. So as we proceed and as we go forward, I mean, like we weren't had no intention of going on for a long period of time. Just wanted to bring this up here and share this information with you. I really want y'all to go out there and look for yourself. Go there and look for yourself and say to yourself, I gotta see what they're talking about. You've got some teachers who have really put forth their all, and then the crushing reality of this is just that you can't believe what you're looking at after all of what you've done so far. So I want to just close it up. I'm not going to be here long, as my favorite pastor used to always say. But I want to close this out by saying this to all the teachers who may have been looking at these VAM scores and have been sitting there for the weekend scratching their head like, what are you talking? I can't believe what I'm seeing here, right? This is what I want to leave you all with, this a word of encouragement from myself specifically to you. Psalm 139 verse 14 says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So I want you to remember that, because don't think about the fact that someone else is giving you value, or right now is speaking to you as if you are valueless. You got value in my eyes, and you guys certainly got value in the eyes of the great one. And that's all I really got for this evening. Listen, you all have a wonderful evening. Think about these scores. Prepare your kids. Get your kids in a situation where they're prepared to learn. Because as the district and as the state is trying to tell us right now, the kids, our whole life is dependent upon how successful they are, without taking into consideration the background that they're coming from or the deficits that they have. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Y'all have a great evening.